Gambling has been around for ages, and it's been around in esports for a while, and now it's finally got its grubby hands on League of Legends. With the recent controversy surrounding LS taking the gambling sponsor esportsbet.io, among other prominent content creators such as Thorin, Monte Cristo, and even a esports website .esports, the question has now arisen: is esports gambling and promoting gambling ethical? Now, before we get into this, let's deal with the controversy of LS. LS was recently criticized for taking esports gambling sponsor esportsbet.io after it was noted by the Reddit community and high elo streamer MinishCap1. The post criticizes the website for allowing users to bet on streamers and high elo games and their outcomes. This prompted clear match fixing issues and an overall degradation in competitive integrity for high elo games. This was the major problem that almost the entire League of Legends community agreed was bad for the scene, even LS himself saying that betting on solo queue games was bad. Eventually, LS came out and said that esportsbet.io has removed the section to allow to bet on streamers and high elo games. Hooray!
So the solo queue betting on the website has been removed.
But wait, a subsection of the community is still pissed about esports gambling sponsors. So what gives? Well, aside from the blatant plagiarism that esportsbet.io did, oh wait, I meant DJ Esports, the previous name they went by, this entire topic largely surrounds an issue of morality. By the way, look at you, I'm so proud of you kids. You're finally cognizant of moral quandaries, right? Like forget about the whole Saudi thing. Like let's put that off to the side. Look at you. I'm so proud of you guys. Let's address the impressionable young kids. By the way, young kids, you should subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the notification bell. I heard this Izento guy gives out free Bitcoin and dank memes. Okay, one of those is true. Neither of those are true. According to the Esports Observer, the average viewer age of esports is 28, with 39% being age range 25 to 34. According to my own YouTube statistics, around 63% of my viewers are 25 and above, with 35% being 18 to 24. But I have no idea how many of those people are 18, 19, and 20. Yeah, I know I don't have a lot of viewers, so it's not a great statistic, but this still aligns with several other esports YouTubers and streamers and content creators saying that their audience often skews towards the older range. Now, you must be saying, well, anyone can lie about their age when they sign up for YouTube or Twitch. This is such a bad argument. You really think that Google Analytics go off of self-reported age? The most powerful fucking company in the world in analytics? Like, come on. Hell, even Riot has said they know about your age, your gender, your education, hell, even your socioeconomic status.
We even have data that extends beyond the game. For some countries, we even have their SES, their education scores, their age, even their gender. And huh? Socioeconomic status. Yeah. And we can correlate any of these data with in-game data as well.
And no, it's not a surprise since, something like a shit company like Target knows when you're having a baby. Ah, shit. I just pissed off all the 25 to 34-year-olds by calling Target shit. I know I just made all you yuppities fucking angry. There are several companies that are actually called data brokers, which essentially they pay to gather data from several different companies, and then they package it all up and sell that data to advertisers so that they can target specific demographics. Welcome to the digital age. Wake up, sheeple. Let's talk about the second argument, which is that, well, gambling is addictive. Well, no shit. We all know that. So Gambling was recently classified as in the DSM-5, which is like the holy Bible for mental disorders and addiction. And it says gambling went from a impulse control disorder to a substance-related and addictive disorder in 2013. This is pretty huge since the last time the DSM was updated was something like 1997. So this is actually relatively recent that this was classified as a new, different disorder, a substance disorder. It's up there with alcohol, drugs, etc. So for all you doubters, it's a real addictive substance. Although it's addictive, that hasn't stopped us from using or advertising any other addictive substance, right? I mean, alcohol, pharmaceutical drugs that have 200 different side effects, high fructose corn syrup drinks. By the way, leading killer in the US is heart disease, which is closely linked to obesity, which 42% of the US is considered obese according to the CDC. But I digress. The point is, there's plenty of addictive stuff in the world. 6% of people suffer from alcoholism in the US. Sorry, I know all of you Europeans and shit are probably like, well, why is he only talking about US statistics? To be honest, I probably couldn't even point your home country out on a map. And then, of course, you guys are going to say, oh, that's just whataboutism. Well, actually, no, we're talking about addiction, right? Gambling is an addiction, as I just proved, along with alcoholism, along with obesity and overeating. That can also be an addiction or an eating disorder as we know it. So now I don't really think the whole whataboutism actually is conflated in this, especially considering what we're talking about is ethical to advertise or even do inside the esports landscape. Then the argument goes, well, alcohol is hard to get versus getting into esports gambling is pretty easy. I mean, I guess it's relatively hard to get alcohol. You have to show ID and theoretically you have to be 21, whereas esports betting is it's a fucking snap, right? Okay, let me just sign into this esports betting website. Oh, I have to have a crypto wallet. Okay, I'll just make a crypto wallet. Okay, let's go to Coinbase. Okay. Wait. I have to show my ID. Age verification. Passport. Yeah, bullshit. It's actually pretty difficult to make a crypto wallet, which then you need to access into a lot of these esports betting websites. So no, it's not easier to make an esports betting account than it is to get alcohol. Well, esports gambling should just be illegal. Yeah, and let's just ban the devil's lettuce while we're at it too, right? Like, boys, I didn't know we're all fucking conservative now. Nah, I just said that to piss you off because I knew it would. If we've learned anything from prohibition, in fact, in the US, is that banning illegal shit just increases organized crime. In fact, the only constitutional bill to ever be repealed was the one in support of prohibition, the 18th Amendment. So if anything, you would want US sites to standardize esports gambling to make it, at the very least, more legit and less corrupt, and to push out the bad actors. And speaking of bad actors, let's get back to esportsbet.io. So a disgruntled esportsbet.io player lost 1.1 to 1.2 Bitcoin. And as you guys know, that is a lot of money. It was about 46,000 pounds, I guess he cited, based on rules that he was locked out of this Bitcoin that he was exploiting betting on tier 2 and 3 matches in Counter-Strike Go, I believe, to then bet that money that he gained on tier 1 matches. And also, they cited that his portfolio was significantly different from other normal players. Whatever the case, I can't verify any of those claims, but what I can verify is that esportsbet.io uses shady tax loopholes and offshore accounts. So esportsbet.io is registered in the British Virgin Islands. If you don't know, this is an infamous tax haven and businesses pay zero income tax. That's right, zero tax. This is similar to gambling businesses registering in, say, the Isle of Man, or all the boats and shipping vessels that you see registering in Panama. A good video to watch on a similar topic of this is the Pandora Papers by Frontline PBS. You can actually go watch that on YouTube if you're interested in how rich people pay no taxes. Esportsbet.io has their gambling license registered in a place called Montenegro, which is across from the Adriatic Sea of Italy and between Bosnia and Serbia. Don't worry, fellow Americans. Actually, I had no idea this was even a country. This country gives a 9% tax, which is very low, and no taxes on betting. This is versus the stringent laws in the US, where if you gamble, if you win over $10,000, you must show your passport or social security number, your proof of address, etc., etc. The laws in the US for gambling are actually really, really tricky, which is why a lot of websites don't register in the US. Now, what puts unease among League of Legends fans is that esportsbet.io has crypto. Enter the pyramid scheme. So, while yes, I will admit that crypto is somewhat of a pyramid scheme in that if you buy in early and say the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum rises, the value of your Bitcoin or Ethereum also increases without you having to do a damn thing except keep tweeting at random people to buy crypto so that your initial stake increases in value. But that's actually not what esportsbet.io is doing. First, you don't need to actually buy real crypto. You can buy what's called USDT, the T standing for Tether, which is a cryptocurrency, which is technically a crypto, but it's also $1 for one coin. So it never really fluctuates. So say you deposit $100. You get 100 USDT, and you can even withdraw this 100 USDT back to your crypto wallet or exchange and then cash it out for real money. For esportsbet.io, you actually have to convert your crypto into DJT in order to place bets, which is their proprietary crypto. But most gambling sites actually do this because they legally can't process fiat currency and things like that. This was the same thing that happened with Unicorn, if you remember back in the day. And I think Unicorn is actually one of the only gambling sites, esports gambling sites, that is registered in the US, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, so technically you aren't betting money. You're betting DJT. This is how they get around those pesky laws. Now, gambling websites actually use crypto because payment processors typically won't process their transactions. This is similar to, what happened with OnlyFans, to where the company Stripe, which is a gigantic payment processor, they wouldn't process the transactions for OnlyFans until eventually they caved. But what's even better with crypto transactions, and probably why a lot of websites use this, is because there is what is called a gas fee. Now, a gas fee is basically just a charge for someone to use another person's computer processing power to carry your transaction from one party to another. This fee is generally pretty decent high, actually, which is why crypto exchanges like Coinbase charge a lot to sell your crypto. The point is, since the fee is somewhat substantial, you're actually encouraged to put in a decent amount into the gambling website, or else if you put in small fees or small amounts, you pay multiple different gas fees, right? Which then eventually add up to actually a lot of money. Essentially, this is a good way to lock you into that ecosystem by having you pay a large amounts to invest into the website at first, especially since you have to calculate your earnings against your gas fees, and you don't want to lose a ton of money just paying for the fee transactions. Now, finally, the argument of gambling isn't a skill. Well, that depends on what kind of gambling we're talking about here. Slots? Yeah, those aren't a skill. It's literally run by a computer that does predetermined chance percentages. And actually, I highly recommend you all go watch this Aussie documentary called Kaching. It's fucked up because he uses an Excel sheet to just crunch numbers and presets modes of luck, always giving back a set amount to the house.
The way it works is the game will pick a random number from 1 to 128 for each reel. There's 128 to the fifth power ways that the reels could stop.
Roulette is also a shit luck game that has terrible odds and is considered largely luck-based, and you can't really be skillful at that game. So now that leaves poker, which many consider a skill game, along with blackjack to a lesser extent. Both of these games you can get good at, especially if you can count cards. So that leads us to sports betting, or esports betting, I guess, by proxy. And analysts can almost certainly make good money if they're knowledgeable enough about teams and players. You may not think so because, most public analysts don't have great odds of predictions, but really, they're just doing that for show. You know that, right? Like, you really think anyone in their right mind would bet on a North American team? Like, come on, dog. Noah Winston, the former owner of Immortals, the team in 2016 that had Hooney and Reignover, that guy actually made his fortune off of League of Legends betting. He bet on an esports website, made a ton of money, and then decided to start his own esports team. So yes, this is one example of an analyst doing very well, making a lot of money, and then making out with the bag. Now the argument goes, well, if you do so well, you'll just get kicked out of sports betting, right? Or, if you card count esports betting if you're too good. So you made the bag and are forced to pull out of a website. What's your point? You still haven't proved that you can't be skilled at gambling. And in fact, pointing this out proves that you can in fact be skilled at gambling. I think Noah Winston is the evidence here. So what you should be arguing actually is the time it takes to become good at this and the possible amount of money that you could lose in that process. And also that the average person probably isn't going to be at the level of a professional analyst. Another problem that people are pointing towards is people like LS or Thorne or Monty have tons of influence and can persuade people to gamble. This one I can't really argue against. There's this great book called Propaganda by Edward Bernays, who is the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And in it, he talks about how he was hired by the pork industry to get people to eat more bacon. And so what he did was he got scientists to say that part of a balanced breakfast was bacon, eggs, and toast. In part, he was responsible for why Americans eat this kind of breakfast. Point is, he obfuscated the fact that he really just wanted people to eat bacon, but also he got the buy-in from the public through authority figures like these scientists, which published bogus research papers. Well, that's kind of the same with influencers and content creators and what they do. They are a figure of authority. People trust them and believe in them, just like those scientists in the 1920s. This is also why it's a little fucked up that the influencers get money to play on these gambling sites, bet really big, and therefore encourage users to bet really big by example. This is exactly why the gambling websites give them free tokens to bet. Now, the influencers may say, I know this is a stupid bet, or don't be stupid like me and bet this crazy. But regardless, it's still a psychological tactic from these gambling companies nonetheless. Also, when they know this, streamer or influencer will brush off the losses because it's just not their money, but they'll get super excited if they win. This downplays losses and upplays the wins, just like the casinos and gambling sites want and are designed to do psychologically. This is even why slot machines have the flashy colors and designs and action on the screen, always downplaying losses, never do a big fail screen or anything when you lose. Anyways, I will say at the very end, I actually don't mind gambling sponsors. People of adequate age should be able to control themselves to prevent addiction. The barrier to entry at a lot of these gambling sites with crypto is actually decently difficult to get into, as I talked about with the age verification and whatnot and adding your own bank account. It's certainly more difficult than spending your money on a fucking money pit like a mobile game, for instance. The only thing I foresee is Riot shutting down the League Partner Program for people with gambling sponsors. So I don't actually think this is going to go past this year anyways. So no, I don't think gambling is corrupt. I don't care that influencers have these sponsors. But I do want to caution you all that have no clue how crypto works. Now, I'm not a crypto expert. I actually don't even have that much money in crypto, but I do want to warn about the rug pull. This website can rug pull DJT, their proprietary token, because it's all based on the Ethereum blockchain, convert all of their own DJT into Ethereum, because remember, the more money that people put into this DJT, the higher the value. Therefore, when the website pulls their own DJT out and converts it into Ethereum, they get away with the gains. This is what they call a rug pull. So be careful. Also, fuck esportsbet.io for plagiarizing esports writers. So they already have an entirely bad track. So I would just be incredibly wary on what you're doing on these betting websites.